Cincinnati's ready for the Big 12. It was time for them.
I am fired up.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this league with y'all, putting on for UC.
Cincinnati, a basketball school for...
And there he goes. Touchdown! Bearcats!
Raquama again. Another slam inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GoBeercats podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. We, of course, are part of the Catskeller Social Club, and we have a very special first-time guest with us on the show today. Right off the jump here, you can see if you're watching on YouTube, Darin Russell. Him and I, we've been friends, acquaintances for a couple of years now. First-time guest on the show, here with a very specific purpose to talk tailgating and football as well. Darin, welcome in, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on the show here. We got a lot to talk about because we are less than 1 week away from Bearcats football finally being back.
I am so excited. I prepped this week with a little bit of week 0 action.
Absolutely. I saw you're in the Catskeller Discord. I saw the little baking action you had on there. Cincy Light and pigs in a blanket. That an undefeated combination for years to come, I think.
Yeah, it tasted delicious. I mean, I used that for some of the games. Even tasted good during the FCC match.
Absolutely. FC won that one. I know they needed that one as well. I took some gambling advice from the Discord, and it turned out all right for me as well. So you get all kind of action in the Discord. This is an unofficial plug for it, but if you're not in the Catskeller Social Club Discord yet, you're missing out on all kind of advice.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to meet people, connect people you haven't met before, and hey, if you sit by yourself during the game, maybe find some new groups there.
Absolutely, and I'm not for sure if you're very familiar with the show, but this is the GoBeercats podcast, so we like to kick things off here with a beer before we do anything. So I'll ask you first, as the guest, the first-time guest here, are you sipping on anything while we speak this evening?
Yeah, Cincy Light, no other choice there, so.
Classic. Can't beat it. Instant classic, matter of fact. For me, for this time for the beer, I went to the Delhi Liquor Store, of course. This is the sponsor for this segment. They have you covered for whatever you need. Beer, wine, bourbon, cigars to get you ready for tailgating season. They got it all. So big shout out to them. This one, Big Pulp. I stared into the abyss of the beer cooler for a while before I found this one. Magnify Brewing from New Jersey. Never had anything from them. This is a smoothie sour ale. It says roll the can before you pour it, which I did not see until it was too late. And she poured thick, like real thick.
Looks like a smoothie. Maybe that's what we're going for. Definitely.
That's delicious. That doesn't taste like beer. Peach, pineapple, mango. That's delicious. And let's see what percentage this is. Only 5%. So it's not going to get me in trouble this evening. So nothing wrong with that. Come this Saturday, maybe around noon, I would guess, we are going to be throwing back many a beer, probably many a Cincy Light. You are kind of our delegate for the den this year. I've been a part. I've lost count as how many years I've been a part of the den. I know you were there way before I was. If people are hearing us talk about the den and have no clue what that is, or they think like that kind of sounds cool, how do I be a part of it? Kind of give us some insight on what the den is and where people can find you.
Yeah, so the den is one of the many tailgate groups. I guess we would be a Catskeller Social Club affiliated.
Sure, absolutely.
Everybody's welcome. We're hitting season 9 here. I've been a part of it since the second year. So this is my 8th season. But yeah, they can go to the denuc.com if they want to sign up. We have season passes there. We're asking for $30 for the season, $5 on game day. Donations are welcome as well to keep us rocking. Your food's taken care of for that day. This year you can expect a keg or at least a stock of Cincy Light. After that point, when it's all gone, we have a community cooler where it's just kind of made up of bring your own booze. And then we're located right next to Societal Hall. Can't miss us. Prime real estate there, right on the corner of that walkway. So yeah.
It's great location. And like you said, food's taken care of. Beer for the most part usually is. Throwing, a sixer of whatever into the community cooler never hurts. But I know that we do have a keg of Cincy Light for week 1 at least. I saw. It's cool. The location, especially because I think they do this on purpose, but all the tailgating groups are the open ones, I guess, or the ones with the trailer are all kind of in a row there, right underneath the side of the hall, like you mentioned. So it's hard to miss. I know there's a flag. There's a DJ, right?
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah. So if you find yourself looking at a place with a trailer, a DJ, and a flag that says the Den, odds are you're in the right place. So the website, thedenuc.com.
Correct.
Correct. So the more information there. $30 for just showing up. You don't have to bring anything. That's hard to beat, especially walking to parking or to and from parking garages or wherever you park. You don't have to lug everything to the grid. That's one of my favorite parts about it too. You just show up with some beer in hand and you're good to go.
Yeah. Like I said, just bring yourself a good time. We try not to watch people's stuff for them when they go in the game. Maybe that's a new idea. Maybe we should start charging for locker space or something. But no, I mean, I've had a couple of friends show up that I've brought from other walks of life. They're not even UC fans initially. I converted one Notre Dame guy and Ohio State guy as well. They're both like, "Well, I'm gonna come back. This is a great time."
Absolutely, and the branding that they put on here, the new logos behind you there as your background, that looks awesome. I know we are wearing matching shirts. Was this last year's shirt or the year before?
Actually,
I forget.
I want to say it was last year.
I want to say that too. Catitude, matching koozies to go along with it, and there's talks of hats this year as well. So there you go. So always repping the Den. You can tailgate anywhere really, and that's that kind of goes with the theme this year. It's like a parks and rec type of theme, not necessarily the television show, but if you look at the branding, that's hard to miss. So
yeah, no, it's a little bit of a family vacation. You got the classic wood paneling you can see in the design. It can only let me put so much on the background, but the United States are in the back with some classic road maps. That's just kind of a little bit of a peek inside. We're joining the truck stop conference, so
it goes along.
I think it's only
it all fits together. That is crazy. What's the past couple of shows we've done a lot of different things. We've talked about taking the over under for every team in the Big 12. We've hit on a lot of different topics throughout the network here, but if we're jumping into football talk, I know you're a diehard fan, just like many of us out there. What's sort of your impressions so far of the new staff, all the new faces? Are you, like myself, cautiously optimistic? Where do you sit with all the things happening right now?
I think anybody who knows ball, at least thinks they know ball. There's always an air of caution when you have a situation where it's a new coach and new coaching staff. That's just natural. I'm excited. There's no pressure this year outside of do your best and make yourself known. So that's really exciting. We're not fighting, guaranteed or fighting to win a conference championship. You're always fighting for conference championship, but you're not one of the expected teams. So you can kind of sneak in there, and do what you do. What it is they do this year, that's to be determined. Like I said, new staff. But I'm just excited to kind of watch, see what happens. It's a new era for us, so there's sort of that honeymoon phase. But as a Cincinnati fan, you're always going to want to do well. We have expectations that have been raised at this point.
Do you think it's like for the past couple of years, maybe the last 3 years even, there's been such a pressure to win? Like in 2021, the team had all the expectations. You got to go in, you got to go to Notre Dame, you got to beat them, you got to beat these teams by 50 points to show that, you know, you belong. And I mean, even the year before that, when we won the American, doesn't seem like that at all this year.
No.
And it's kind of a relief. I mean, I don't want to say like I don't want to get used to this feeling at all, but it's kind of fun just shooting from the hip and seeing what happens.
Yeah, and no one wants apathy. You know, that's never where you want to end up as a program in any sport, really. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Like we were coming off of you know, past 2 years where you had an established coach. You know, there was a taste of what they could do during the COVID year. So there were expectations that, you know, because you hear everybody talking like, oh, they, you know, if they do it right, there's a chance they could do it, even though they didn't want it to happen. It happened. You know, and then the year after that, you start off ranked. You don't necessarily think, you know, that you're guaranteed to make the playoff, but you kind of think to yourself, maybe if they play their cards right, go perfect. If Arkansas is good as they're supposed to be, you know, maybe they can sneak in again because they have some of that reputation. You know, but you know, when things didn't go our way, that made way for some pretty you know, gut-wrenching letdowns. You know, lost to you know, Disney Tech. You know, losing at home. You know, to Tulane on senior day.
I know they were a good team last year, but man, I did not want to lose that game at home.
No, not at all. And even having that shred of hope, you know, down to the last second. And I always tell people, like, as long as there's time on the clock and there's, you know, at least within a score, there's always a chance. But those moments are also the most dangerous emotionally. And then, you know, after that, having the next day or that weekend, your coach just being gone. So a lot of emotion coming off of a season, 2 seasons like that. But then you kind of reset. You know, we're in an era of NIL on top of that. So not just new coach, new players. You know, so you have to give grace. You know, obviously there's an expectation. You hope your AD communicates those expectations when they make those hires. But again, we got a little bit of grace that we can have with this.
With I'm usually a pretty optimistic guy, Darren. Like I'm glass half full, not just when I'm talking about the Bearcats, but just in general. But I had this I'm gonna call it a very like deep, dark thought yesterday while I was at the Delhi liquor store. I was thinking, how many teams have we seen change conference and it not be and they're not going in with momentum, right? Like had Fickle stayed and maybe had his whole head and heart into it, maybe last season could have played out a little bit differently. I'm sure all of us would say, you know, having that stability going into the Big 12, we'd probably feel there would be a little bit more expectations maybe. But like how many teams have sort of limped their way into a conference and not recovered? And that's like my biggest fear. You know, I feel ashamed saying this out loud, but I have a podcast and I guess we can work through these emotions here on the show. But like, you know, being a Nebraska that's fallen off the face of the earth. And I'm sure Oklahoma and Texas will go the same way soon. I mean, there's other examples. I mean, Rutgers was good sometimes. I mean, we beat them when they were ranked in the Big East. Miami, Florida. I mean, they had a couple decent years once they moved, right? But certainly not what they want to be. So I hope that we do not follow that same path and that we fall off and are forgotten in the college football world.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think Rutgers is such a great shout. I mean, they haven't been good since, you know, or at least competent since Gary Nova, Mohamed Sanu.
Right.
You know, so it's been a second. I think you kind of like saw as we stayed and were trapped in the remnants of the Big East. Guys get plucked, or teams get plucked out. And you're like, well, they're taking them. Yeah, they're taking them as well, and them. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a chance, but in that same breath, there's also that chance that we somehow go undefeated and roll through the conference for some reason. The chance is always there. But yeah, you're going to have an air of caution on that, just because new situation, new kid in the school, but at the same time, best thing you can do, go in there and knock the biggest guy out and make people wary of you.
That's true. That's true.
But at the same, on top of that, though, it's also a prime chance for you to sneak up on people and surprise them. People they don't expect anything out of us. Maybe you saw how they voted for us,
right?
Going this year. It's just who knows. Yeah, I think this team's going to be better than they're given credit for. But to what that means, is that going to translate to more wins? Is that going to translate into being a tougher opponent? Who's to say? I am in that camp where I think they're going to be better than credit's given, but more in the sense that you're not going to just roll in here and get a win if you're guaranteed to be a top team in the conference.
That's a good way to put it. I think you're right there. It's not, we might not come out on top every time, but damn it, you're going to earn it when you play the Bearcats. So that's I think that's fair for year one here. A lot of new faces, a lot of just questions. Hopefully, many of them can be answered. With things don't start out too hard for us here. Week one, we are here. We have the EKU Colonels coming up to historic Nippert Stadium. I don't know if you or how familiar you are with them. I've done some research. I like, once we're in season, I've kind of used this show to do like a preview of the teams. I always like to get, the insight from people in the know of, who sort of are as dedicated as I am to the Bearcats, for what other teams. So I kind of like to do a preview of things here. There's not a whole lot we can talk about, but I think there's some noteworthy information that I think people that are heading to Nippert on Saturday should know going into things. Yeah.
As far as like knowing EKU closely, not too much. They're a name that always comes up for me as a casual watcher. I try to consume as much football as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as actually looking up stats on those individual teams I've seen, it's rare that I'm doing that. As far as my actual familiarity, I think we have someone who's engaged into the den, who's an EKU grad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. But as far as a passive interest, you never want to sleep on anybody, mm-hmm. especially when you're out here giving a test run.
Sure. Yeah.
Test run to the Satterfield era. EKU's been one of those teams that has snuck up on maybe not the best teams, but they've snuck up on some teams where it's like, oh, hey, you're our pay-in game. And it's usually like a lower tier, FBS team. They make it close, or closer than you'd expect. I think Benny Coney transferred there years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
As far as my random fun fact, but not too much familiarity with them, unfortunately.
So here's what I found out. So I thought it's kind of interesting here. The Bearcats are 2-0 against them all time. The last two games, the Bearcats won 31-0 and 40-7. So kind of not what I'd call very close games. However, so EKU this year is picked to win the United Athletic Conference. They're under a third-year head coach, Walter Wells. Overall, he's 17-14 at the helm of the Colonel. So that's, you got a preseason conference favorite here. That's not too shabby. They were 7-5 last year. And here's the maybe I forgot this happened, and I bet just as a college football fan, you'll remember this once I say this, Darren. EKU played Bowling Green last year. The game went to 7 overtimes. Okay, it ended 59-57 with a combined 40 points scored in the overtimes. That's an all-timer right there.
Yeah, dangerous. I mean,
Danger, crazy.
I mean, we're not to, I don't want to scoff and be like, we're not Bowling Green. You know, you'd assume the talent level is as it should be. It's going to be higher. But again, you can never take any team lightly. You can have an off day. You could miss 6 snaps that go, that miss the quarterback. Who knows?
Their quarterback is actually not too shabby either. Parker McKinney. I mean, he's a 6th-year player with over 10,000 passing yards. So
yeah,
that's
he's vetted,
experienced. That's for sure. He and one of their offensive linemen are on the Reese's Senior Bowl watch list.
There you go.
So,
they got some players.
They got some players. I think this is a game much like. I mean, it's just one that the talent should do the work for you, even if you don't have the playbook down yet, even if you don't have, the intricacies of the Satterfield system. Just on talent alone, we should be able to pull this one out. Whether that's by 50 points or not, I don't know. But we also don't have a spread for the game yet. So here at the end of the episode, I'm going to make one up for you. With a team like this coming in, I think it kind of does like us as fans a favor, because we want to see what our team has. There's names that we're all familiar with. There's some I'm sure that we'll learn as we go along. But as you're watching the game this week, what are you going to be looking for from our team? Let's start with on the defensive side of the ball, because I feel as though that's the one that we're strongest with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for the defensive line to, just be as dominant as they're expected to be. You hear, about the accolades, or at least the potential accolades. The veteran presence from Briggs. The Godfather expected to be the Godfather. And then in Van, just experience across the line. Secondly, I am really excited to see how Pace does, that safety position. And that's not just, he plays safety. Players like that, you love seeing them on college teams where it's like, yeah, he's a safety, but he's the safety we trust to do everything. It's almost a modified position at that point. They with linebacker experience, bump back so he can hit, obviously. Great coverage skills. This should hopefully give him some more balls to take back. I don't know. I'm just really excited. Those types of positions have always interested me, because it's just a fun and loose way to play the sport.
For sure. I mean, I think I'm right there with you. I want to see that defensive line dominate for sure. I'd love to see him get to the quarterback about 5 times on Saturday. And I mean, it comes from every angle on the defensive line. So who knows where it's going to come from next. But I think the secondary, I mean, that's something that we've kind of talked about. How is that going to hold up? I know this isn't a Big 12 game, but sort of just getting a preview of what they'll be able to do. I'll be looking for that as well. So, and also this is kind of something kind of hard to measure, but the Freeman Fickle defenses were always very aggressive, right? They I mean, all hats to the ball. They hit hard. It seems like it was a group of guys you wouldn't want to look forward to playing. I want to see if that physicality is still there, and how you want to measure that, I don't know, but I'm definitely going to be looking for that as well.
Yeah, well, based on the experience that's there, at each position, how it shakes out, whether it's no experience to a veteran presence. You've heard of coverage sacks, where it's the coverage is so tight down the field that at that point they run out of time and eventually someone gets to them. This time around, I think the narrative is going to be, how many pressure deflections can we get? You know, how
Okay.
the lines back there wreaking havoc, they got to get rid of the ball, you know, and then that allows the you know, the DBs to do work. You know, it's a concept of leaning on each other. Your weaker side of the defense leaning on the stronger side of the defense. You know, before we had you know, great you know, defensive backs, you know, Sauce, Kobe, you know, Bush being there playing a role, you know, Cook. So, you know, that allowed the defensive line to do what they need to do. Not that, you know, Majay wasn't anything to sneeze at,
Right.
you know, but it's where is the contribution, the bigger contribution going to come from to allow the other levels to do what they need to do. And at this point, I think it's the defensive line.
Yeah, definitely. What about the other side of the ball? On offense, I feel as though you better pay attention to every down, every play, because there's a lot to look for on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Not much of a run game last year, so I think by default, a lot of people are going to be excited to, you know, what we've been sold on, you know, is being a potentially good run game. So that goes without saying, and I think that's going to impress, you know, at first, until you kind of settle in and really see how things, you know, or where our strong suits are. I'm really excited to see quarterback play. You know, I, you know, every single stat or, you know, narrative is like, oh, well, he's kind of washed and, you know, he didn't work out here. He didn't work out there. Yeah. But those intangible moments and intangible things where it's, okay, well, he's in a place where he's settled now. He doesn't have to worry about a coach leaving because, I mean, this is it. He's coming in with the coach.
Right.
You know, he's, you know, rumor has it he's already made himself, you know, more of a leader than you know, anybody else who would just come in as an outsider.
I don't know if you saw this. He's officially named one of the 4 team captains today.
Yeah, there you go. So to gain that respect and to hear what we've been hearing is already a good sign. I just expect him to have a better year than, you know, I won't say the tail of the tape, a better year than what's on paper.
For sure.
You know,
and last week Scott Springer was on the show here with me from the Cincinnati Enquirer, and he said the wide receiving unit is the second best unit on the field after the D line, which I'm all about that. I hope that holds up. Definitely hope that holds up. So quarterback play. What else are you looking for on the offensive side of the ball? You got anything else?
That running back room is stacked. Going back to that,
Yeah.
It's almost one of those things that, hey, pick your favorite.
Right. Yeah.
Like what running back do you want to see get the carries? Obviously, it looks like we're starting off with, you know, a potentially 2-headed monster. You know, with Montgomery and wow, I just spaced on his name. Kiner. You know, seeing what those two can do starting out. But, you know, you got Ryan Montgomery as well sitting back there. You got Wright coming back from injury. Just runs tough, nasty. I just don't think we're going to be left wanting, you know, even if someone goes down this year. I think there's a lot of guys who can carry the load when given the chance.
Definitely. I would echo everything that you said on the offensive side of the ball. The only thing I would add is a balanced offense. I forget what the stat is exactly, but I don't know if it was the past 1, 2, 3 years, however long Satterfield was at Louisville, but his offense averaged 200 yards rushing, 200 yards receiving or passing. So that's about, I'll take 400 yards of offense a game. That's nice. And if it's split down the middle, 200, that's, hard to beat that. So will we have that balanced approach? I know some of us could think that maybe we'll be more run heavy this year for whatever reason, but if the wide receivers are, you know, sort of putting it together already, I will be looking not even just week 1, but going forward, can we get are we going for a balanced attack here as well? So we'll see what works though.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the goal of any offense, really? I mean, outside of anything gimmicky like the triple option,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
in theory, you want to see something that's balanced, because that means that, you know, you can do anything you need to. Obviously it's going to get to be seen until we get out there. I hope that's what it's going to mean, is that we have options there. You know, if they take this away, we could do this, and then that opens that, you know, the opposite back up. You know, the problem last year was, okay, well, we're forced to throw the ball, you know, more than run, because the run game isn't working. You know, and you know, you may be forced, your quarterback may be forced at that point to make throws that, you know, they're not comfortable making to compensate.
Yeah.
But
then with Jones, he can just tuck the ball and go with it. That adds another element of, does he need to escape if we have to pass, and for whatever reason, that athletic ability is definitely another wrinkle that we have, much like we had when Dez was here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, dual threat does not mean what people think it used to mean.
Yeah.
You know, dual threat used to have an underlying, well, he really is more of a runner than a passer.
Right.
No,
yeah.
Jones, I have faith that he can do both. Run and gun it is what I'm hoping to see out of that. Again, I think he's going to have a better year, or at least is capable of having a better year than expected. Who knows? We may even be looking at the so soon the next UC NFL quarterback. So
true. We will see. Do you have well, I'll save that towards the end. So I mean, special teams, I don't know if we want to touch on what we'll be looking for special teams. I'm going to be looking for the rake to absolutely punt the bloody hell out of the ball for as many yards as he possibly can get. I don't know. I mean, that's just what he does. And hopefully we'll have a guy that can make some field goals.
Yeah, I hope that he can get himself some hardware this year. That would be lovely.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Because it's criminal how good he is, and hasn't won that prestigious award yet. Kicking game's looking solid enough. You know, as reliable as you would need it to be on average. It's unfortunate we lost such a weapon, and they transferred to North Carolina. But you know, it's looking serviceable, and for now, that's, you know, is about as much as you can ask with it being an unknown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for now, I'm hoping you can get the point after and at least be good from 40.
There we go.
Yeah, that's what I want out of that.
It's easy enough, man. We've covered a lot here so far. Check out the Den. As much of a EKU preview as we could muster up here. We got what we're looking for here from the Bearcats week 1 and beyond, really. You want to go into the last thing that we'll really do here, guessing some statistical leaders for the 23 football season?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, let's start with defense again. Let's go with, and you can make this as quick or explain as much as you want here. You make your pick, and I'll follow up with you. Let's go with who will have the most sacks this year.
I don't think it's going to be Corey Young. Not because he isn't capable, but the name's out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna people. A smart coach would believe the hype. You know, so that's going to mean double teams. You know, quarterbacks are going to have to be aware of where he's lined up. I think that would either go to Briggs, or, you know, what I really want is Van to have himself, you know, a nice season.
Yeah.
Go out on a high note. That man's played a lot of football. You know, if someone told you he was here during the Butch Jones tenure, you'd believe him at that point of how long he's been here. But you know, that's my wishful thinking. But I think Briggs really makes a name for himself this year.
I have Briggs written down as well. I think you're right about I think Dante will be double teamed, triple teamed a lot. And Jawan Briggs is just a massive unit of a human being. So we're together there, both going Briggs for most sacks. How about most tackles?
I think I'm gonna say Dingle fly around.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did not see that one coming. Nice. I'm gonna go with Deshaun Pace.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I like that pick in that new star position that you were talking about already there. So we'll see what he can do and see if his brother I think was just named as a starter on the Minnesota Vikings.
It's looking good.
Who saw that coming? I mean
who?
Yeah, literally everyone inside the greater Cincinnati area probably. Little change up there. I like that. How about most tackles for loss?
I think that might be where the Don comes in.
Okay.
He may not get free a bunch to get completely in the backfield, but I think he's gonna fly up.
I like that. I'm gonna go off your wishful thinking for Malik Van, and I'll maybe not sack leader on the team, but I'll give him most tackles for loss. Well, big fan of Van, so hopefully he does go out on a high note here. His last year here, 6th year, right? Is he has been here for a while.
I think technically, and I could be fact checking this. I think technically you could get up to 8 if it really came down to it. Like if it really came down to it, usually people hang it up by then, but
yeah, I thought that was just reserved for BYU players, but maybe not.
Right.
You have any? Those are just the 3 that I wrote down really quickly here on the defensive side of the ball. You have any others? Any other categories you want to throw out there? Most interceptions, anything like that?
Which corner do you think is going to have themselves a stronger year?
The dude from Florida.
Yeah.
Is that
Jordan?
Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan Young.
I'm definitely picking him.
Sneak through. I could see it. Unknown, a little bit of an unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily to people who've scouted him and and recruited him.
Right.
Because he was expected to take that step at Florida, when given the chance. So a lot of people were surprised to see him go. But that's just the beauty of NIL. Anybody pops up anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just that he hasn't made a name for himself yet. But if he's everything he's billed to be, come on now.
Yeah. All right. So you officially going with the same pick?
Yeah.
All right. That's nice there. Let's flip. Let's go offensive side of the ball. You said the running back room is kind of stacked. Who's going to be the team leader in rushing yards for 2023?
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah. And you can't just say Montgomery because there's 2 of them.
Right. Combine them into one back.
Yeah.
Their stats are like physical stats are like nearly identical, which is hilarious. It's hard to say just because you don't know how this offense is going to emerge. You got a quarterback who can run. You got 2 running backs leading right now as the favorites between Miles and Corey. It's going to really depend on how they end up being used throughout the year. We know how we're expecting to use them. But maybe Corey becomes the every down back. Power's a little bit more of his game, but maybe he becomes more reliable and hand off. Mm-hmm. And it's numbers by chances and not numbers by big play.
Right. Right.
Maybe Emery, keeps himself a little bit more.
Ooh.
And that's just how it shakes out. Or again, maybe Miles is just home run after home run, and it's not a lot of chances, but a lot of big hits. Mm-hmm. That's tough. I think I'm gonna go even split between those 2 up front. Honestly,
okay.
They're gonna be one will obviously be ahead, but it's gonna be one of those like one's above by like 30 yards maybe.
All right, I think I'm just gonna go Kiner outright. I think he has that potential to become kind of the snowball effect. You just keep feeding them, and it keeps going, getting bigger and getting bigger and getting bigger. So I'll guess Kiner, but like you said, running back room is deep. Could be anybody. Could be the quarterback, because who knows? How about most rushing touchdowns?
Kiner.
Kiner.
Yeah.
I'm trying to write these down so we can make fun of ourselves at the end of the season.
That's gonna be the best part, looking back and laughing at ourselves.
Right. I'm gonna go Emory Jones. Maybe get in the red zone there. He just tucks it and keeps it. I'm just to make it a little bit different. I'll say Jones. I think he's got a fighting chance to lead us in rushing touchdowns this year. This kind of goes with, maybe it doesn't go with most rushing yards. So I'm interested to see what you come up with here. How about most carries this season?
I think that might go to Corey as well. Yeah, just because I think that's potentially his game. By committee, every down back. Because he can break it off. I mean, he's not going to outrun everybody. It's that kind of speed isn't completely a part of his game, but he can run some guys over and break some tackles to the point where maybe he slips out with just the right one, and he's in. We saw a little bit of that at the Miami game last year at Paul Brown. So
I don't think we have a guy that has that Jerome Ford extra gear where he's outrunning DBs, say like everyone. I don't know if we have that.
I think Ryan's the closest, at least.
Okay.
Maybe not raw. I mean, that speed is almost untouched, but Ryan probably be closest. More so relying on movement skills, juke spins. But he'd probably be the closest. But it's not by much. Now,
this is maybe the most unknown out of any of the categories we have went back and forth here on. Most receiving yards this year.
If it's not D. Wiggins, it's going to be spread out a little bit, I think. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to have like a nice, even, everybody gets some, I
like that. I think D. Wiggins is a pretty safe pick. I will live a little bit more dangerously here. I will say Donovan Ollie from Washington State, based solely off of the one catch that I saw him make at Camp Higher Ground, and the media team put it out there. Yeah. The guy can go up and get the ball, and based just solely on that 1 6-second clip, I'm going with him because why not?
Yeah. It depends on who becomes his favorite target, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple guys. Wiggins probably has a head start on people, or not Wiggins. I'm sorry, Xavier Henderson. He was at Florida with him. Sorry, too many people coming in from too many different schools to keep straight.
They've impressively rebuilt that room. You saw a lot of names leave, but you kind of blink for a second. Wait a minute. What we've been seeing in camp is impressive for what we lost.
Yeah, definitely. I got two more here for you, and then sort of one question about week one again here. So most receiving touchdowns. So we just went most receiving yards. How about most receiving touchdowns?
I see Chris Scott sneaking through there.
Okay. Wasn't ready for that. I like that. The literally only returning wide receiver from last season.
Yeah.
I like it. No problem at all there.
It just depends on how we get in the red zone, I guess. So
I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Xavier Henderson. I think I like it. I just because I like his size, and if you got to kind of throw it up and see if somebody can go and get it, maybe he has that advantage at 6'3", 200 pounds. I like that. I'd also like to see Evan Prater catch some touchdowns this year as well. So, I mean, he's got that athletic ability, about the same size as Henderson. So we'll see if he can make that transition as quickly as the team probably needs him to.
Yeah. You just don't know how the offense is going to shake out You know, are they going to be big play specialists only?
Yeah.
The idea, obviously, as we've been sold on, is to run it down their throats a little bit more than not. Maybe we grind our way down to the red zone, and it's a lot of crossing patterns inside there, are short fade to the corner. I think how that looks is really going to determine who's getting the ball down there or from a distance.
Darrin, I appreciate your time here this evening, good sir. You have definitely held your own. You definitely know the Bearcats. That's for sure. I look forward to talking more with you on the grid at the Den on Saturday. One last thing here we'll talk about here, the last segment, if you will. This is brought to you by the BetStamp app. It is allows you to line shop if you're into the sports gambling, as I am, and many of us are here. Not a sports book. It just allows you to line shop. Gives you the best odds across all the sports books. Download the app and use the referral code GoBeercats. With that said, though, Darrin, I cannot find a spread. You could not find a spread for the week 1 game as of Sunday when we're recording this. No spread for the Bearcats and EKU. So I pulled off 21.5 as the spread here. So are you taking the Bearcats to cover that, or you think EKU Colonels will fight their way to a closer end?
I think 20 is that's a good bet. A safe one would probably be like 17, just with the newness, but talent level 20, sounds right. That's the wishful thinking, at least.
Well, do you have a final score prediction?
42-17.
42-17. I like that. I'm going to go with 35-6.
Okay.
I think we're close enough there. 35-6 Bearcats for myself, 42-17 for you. Anything else you want to share, highlight, anything that we missed along the way?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of good stuff today. Got here, got the message out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. The last thing I'll leave everyone with really here, we could sort of don't spend nearly enough time talking about some of the other sports around campus. But I thanks to the Discord, I know that the women's soccer team is just won this past week, and the volleyball team actually set an attendance record with over 3,300 people at the Xavier match. Unfortunately, I think the Bearcats dropped that one, but they are 2-1. They did win earlier today, so 2-1 starting off the season and a record-setting attendance. Nothing too shabby about that. So try to keep people updated on some of the fringe sports throughout the year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling I forgot who I mentioned to it, just kind of out in the ether, really. It's amazing what that CFP appearance did for us, because people, you could see they wanted a little bit more. What else can we do? It does help, obviously, for those teams to advertise and try to capture some of that lightning too. I think that is also a big part of it. But having that catalyst to really drive that, I mean, look, I got season tickets to baseball right now.
Right.
I mean, you've seen me in the Discord talking about what changes we can make to the stadium, to be more in line with it's like we want patio seating and an awning and all sorts of extra stuff. So
yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of room for improvement around the baseball field. You're right. That's maybe something to keep an eye on. Maybe as more people start to buy season tickets, we will see. Along those same lines, I'm going to try to make it to my first women's crosstown shootout this year. Never attended the crosstown shootout between the women's teams, and if I can, right now the plan is to make it to that game. I think it's December 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see. Hopefully, you're right. more people getting involved in many different sports. So we'll keep that up and see if we can't get a solid. One thing I asked different fan bases that I talked to over the summer here is, what's your third sport? What's your third biggest sport? I don't know if UC has a definite answer to that. So it's kind of whoever's hot at the time: golf, baseball, volleyball, the dance team. Of course, they're like a 45-time national champion or whatever it is. But yeah, I like to see what program emerges as that solid third. So be on the lookout for that as well. Darrin, I will see you Saturday, probably around noon. We will certainly have a Cincy Light together, or 10, or who knows.
It's drinking season, so there you go.
Absolutely. All right. Cheers, brother. I'll see you.
See ya.